Some women carry a quiet strength, a force so potent it reshapes the world around them without a single word spoken. This is the unspoken no, a silent boundary that pulses with the weight of their inner truth. It's not a scream, not a plea, nor a negotiation. It's a refusal born in the depths of the psyche where the high priestess archetype reigns. She is the silent oracle, the keeper of mysteries, her gaze piercing through the veils of expectation and desire. In her stillness, she commands. In her refusal, she creates. What would you think if I told you that this unspoken no is not just a shield but a sacred act of creation, a declaration of sovereignty over your own soul? In the realm of Jungian psychology, the high priestess is the embodiment of the feminine unconscious, the shadow and the light entwined. She does not chase approval or bend to external pressures. Her power lies in her ability to discern, to hold space for her truth, and to say no, not with words but with the quiet resolve of her being. This is not rejection for the sake of defiance, but a deliberate choice to honor the self over the chaos of others' projections. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, that hidden part of the psyche where unacknowledged desires and fears reside. For many women, the shadow holds the weight of people-pleasing, the fear of being unlovable, the compulsion to say yes when every fiber of their being screams no. The high priestess does not suppress this shadow, she integrates it. She knows that to deny her truth is to betray her soul. Consider the woman who sits across from a man whose words drip with charm, whose eyes promise devotion, yet whose energy feels like a subtle demand. He wants her time, her attention, her acquiescence. Society has taught her to smile, to soften, to yield. But the high priestess within her stirs. She feels the pull of his expectations, the weight of his unspoken need for her to fill a void he cannot name. And yet, she pauses. In that pause, she consults her inner oracle, the voice that knows what he cannot see, that his desire is not her responsibility. Her no is not spoken aloud, but it radiates. Her body shifts, her gaze steadies, her energy withdraws. He feels it, though he cannot name it. This is the silent power of refusal, a boundary so clear it needs no explanation. Stoic philosophy, as articulated by Marcus Aurelius, reminds us that we cannot control others' actions, only our own responses. The high priestess embodies this wisdom. She does not waste energy on arguments or justifications. Her no is not a reaction to the world. It is an act of creation, carving out space for her own becoming. Seneca would call this the practice of self-mastery, the discipline to choose what aligns with your essence and reject what does not. For a woman, this is revolutionary. In a world that often demands her compliance, her silence is not weakness but a declaration of power. You, listener, have felt this, haven't you? That moment when you chose yourself over someone else's expectations, when you refused to shrink, even if your voice trembled inside. This unspoken no is not about cruelty or indifference. It is about clarity. Modern psychology speaks of boundaries as essential for self-worth, yet so many women struggle to set them, fearing they will lose love, connection, or safety. The high priestess knows better. She understands that a no to others is often a yes to herself. It is the refusal to abandon her own needs, to betray her own truth. This act of refusal is not cold. It is fiercely alive, pulsing with the energy of individuation, Jung's term for the lifelong journey toward wholeness. To say no is to claim your place in the world, to assert that you are not a mirror for others' desires but a force of your own. Yet the unspoken no carries a risk. It can unsettle, provoke, even wound those who expect compliance. It challenges the ego projections of others, those unconscious assumptions that a woman exists to nurture, to please, to conform. When you wield this power, you may face resistance. Some will call it selfishness. Others will feel it as rejection. But the high priestess does not falter. She knows that true connection is born not from sacrifice but from authenticity. So, what happens when you choose to embody this silent power? What shifts within you when you refuse to betray your truth? The high priestess does not waver when the world pushes back. Her unspoken no, that silent boundary carved from the depths of her psyche, is not merely a shield but a crucible where her true self is forged. In the Jungian landscape of the soul, this act of refusal is a step toward individuation, the sacred process of becoming whole. It is not a rejection of others but a reclamation of the self, a refusal to let the ego projections of the world, those unspoken demands to conform, to please, to shrink, dictate her path. She stands at the threshold of her own truth, a silent oracle whose power lies in her ability to discern what is hers and what is not. This is the alchemy of the feminine, where saying no becomes an act of creation, shaping a life aligned with inner sovereignty. Consider the woman who feels the weight of a relationship that no longer serves her. His words may be kind, his presence familiar, but her intuition whispers of misalignment. The high priestess within her senses the subtle erosion of her spirit, the slow drip of self-abandonment. She could stay, could mold herself to fit his expectations, but she chooses otherwise. Her no is not a loud severance but a quiet withdrawal, a shift in energy that speaks louder than words. She does not explain or justify, she simply honors her truth. This is the Stoic principle of Epictetus at work, to focus only on what is within your control. You cannot control his reaction, his hurt, his demands, but you can control your choice to stay or to leave. You listener, have you ever felt that pull to stay when every part of you longed to walk away? What stopped you? The unspoken no is not without its shadows. Jung taught that the shadow holds what we fear to face, our guilt, our fear of being unlovable, our dread of standing alone. For many women, the shadow whispers that to say no is to risk rejection, to invite conflict, to be seen as cold or unkind. Yet the high priestess embraces this shadow, not as a flaw but as a teacher. She knows that the discomfort of setting a boundary is a small price to pay for the freedom of authenticity. Modern psychology echoes this, framing boundaries as acts of self-respect, yet the struggle remains. Why? Because the world often punishes women for choosing themselves. It labels their refusal as defiance, their silence as arrogance. But the high priestess sees through this illusion. She knows that the true cost of saying yes when you mean no is the erosion of your soul. This silent power is not about isolation but about connection, connection to the self, which is the foundation of all true intimacy. When you say no to what diminishes you, you say yes to what honors you. This is the paradox of the feminine. In her refusal, she opens herself to deeper love, not from others but from within. Stoic wisdom, as Seneca might frame it, reminds us that external validation is fleeting, but inner alignment is eternal. The high priestess does not seek approval, she seeks truth. Her no is a sacred boundary, a line drawn in the sand of her psyche that says, "This far and no further." It is a declaration that her worth is not negotiable, her essence not for sale. Yet this power requires courage. To wield the unspoken no is to face the discomfort of others, disappointment, to stand firm in the face of their projections. A man may see her refusal as a challenge to his ego, a friend may see it as betrayal, a family may see it as rebellion. But the high priestess does not falter. She knows that those who demand her compliance are often wrestling with their own shadows, projecting their unmet needs onto her. Jung would call this the anima projection, where others see her not as she is but as a symbol of their desires or fears. Her no disrupts this illusion, forcing them to confront their own truth. And in that disruption, she creates space for something real to emerge. So what does it mean to embody this silent power in your own life? When you choose to say no, not with words but with the quiet strength of your being, what shifts in your relationships, your choices, your heart? How does the world change when you refuse to betray yourself? The unspoken no, wielded by the high priestess, is a force of transformation, a quiet rebellion against the currents that seek to pull a woman away from her center. It is not a loud defiance but a deliberate act of presence, a refusal to let the world's demands erode the sacred architecture of her soul. In the Jungian framework, this act of refusal is a dance with the shadow, that hidden realm where fears of rejection and abandonment lurk. The high priestess does not shy away from these shadows. She steps into them, knowing that to integrate them is to claim her power. Her no is not a wall but a gate, allowing only what aligns with her truth to pass through. This is the essence of individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming whole, not by pleasing others but by honoring the self. Picture a woman standing at a crossroads in her life. Perhaps it's a career that drains her, a friendship that demands too much, or a lover whose affection feels like a cage. The world expects her to comply, to smile, to adapt. But the high priestess within her stirs, her intuition sharp as a blade. She feels the weight of expectation, the subtle pressure to say yes to preserve peace. Yet she chooses otherwise. Her no is silent, a shift in her energy, a refusal to bend. She does not explain herself, for her truth needs no defense. This is the Stoic wisdom of Marcus Aurelius in practice, to focus on what lies within your control, your choices, your boundaries, your truth, and let the rest fall away. You listener, have you ever stood at such a crossroads? What did you choose when the world demanded your yes? This silent power is not about cutting others off but about creating space for authenticity. Modern psychology underscores the importance of boundaries for mental health, yet for women, the act of setting them often feels like a betrayal of others, of societal norms, of the roles they've been taught to play. The high priestess knows this struggle intimately. She feels the tug of guilt, the fear of being seen as too much or not enough. But she also knows that to say yes when her soul screams no is to abandon herself. And self-abandonment is the true betrayal. Her unspoken no is a reclamation, a refusal to let her worth be defined by others' needs. It is a declaration that she is enough, not because of what she gives, but because of who she is. The high priestess also understands the energetic polarity of relationships. Jung spoke of the anima and animus, the feminine and masculine energies that dance within and between us. When a woman says no, she disrupts the projections others cast upon her. A man may project his anima onto her, seeing her as the nurturer, the savior, the muse who exists to complete him. Her refusal challenges this illusion, forcing him to confront his own inner work. This can be unsettling, even painful, for those who rely on her compliance. But the high priestess does not waver. She knows that true connection arises not from fulfilling others' projections, but from meeting them as equals, each whole in their own right. Her no is an invitation to authenticity, a call to build relationships rooted in truth rather than illusion. Yet this power demands discipline. Seneca would remind us that freedom lies in mastering our impulses, in choosing what aligns with our deepest values. The unspoken no requires clarity, the ability to discern what serves your growth and what diminishes it. It requires courage to face the discomfort of others' reactions, to stand firm when they push back. For the high priestess, this is not a burden but a sacred act. Her no is a brushstroke on the canvas of her life, painting a world where she is neither diminished nor defined by others. It is a refusal to be consumed, a choice to create. So, what happens when you embrace this silent power? When you choose to honor your truth over the world's expectations, what new possibilities emerge? How does your life change when you refuse to compromise your soul? The high priestess moves through the world with a quiet ferocity, her unspoken know a sacred boundary that guards the temple of her soul. This refusal is not a mere act of resistance but a profound act of creation, shaping a life that resonates with her deepest truth. In the Jungian tapestry of the psyche, her no is a thread that weaves together the light and shadow, the known and the hidden. It is a refusal to let the world's projections, those relentless demands to conform, to nurture, to sacrifice, drown out the voice of her inner oracle. She stands as a beacon of sovereignty, her silence not a void but a force, pulsing with the energy of self-ownership. Her power lies in her ability to choose, to discern, to hold space for her truth in a world that often seeks to claim it. Imagine a woman surrounded by voices, friends, family, society, each urging her to bend, to soften, to prioritize their needs above her own. The pressure is subtle yet relentless, a chorus of expectations that threatens to pull her from her center. But the high priestess within her does not falter. She feels the weight of their demands, the unspoken plea for her to play the role of the good daughter, the loyal friend, the accommodating partner. Yet she pauses. In that pause, she consults her inner truth, the silent oracle that knows what they cannot see, that her worth is not tied to their approval. Her no is unspoken, a shift in her presence, a quiet withdrawal of energy. It is a boundary so clear it needs no words. You listener, have you ever felt this pressure? What did it cost you to say yes when your soul whispered no? This silent power is rooted in the Stoic principle of Epictetus, to focus only on what lies within your control. The high priestess cannot control the expectations of others, their disappointment, or their projections. But she can control her response, her choice to honor her truth. This is not selfishness but self-preservation, a refusal to let her essence be eroded by the demands of the world. Modern psychology speaks of the toll of self-abandonment, the way it fractures self-worth and fuels resentment. The high priestess knows this intimately. Her unspoken no is a shield against this fracture, a declaration that she will not betray herself to keep others comfortable. It is an act of love, not only for herself but for those she engages with, for it invites them into a space of authenticity rather than illusion. The high priestess also navigates the energetic dance of attraction and repulsion. Jung's concept of the anima and animus reveals how others project their inner ideals onto her, seeing her as the muse, the healer, the answer to their unspoken needs. Her no disrupts this projection, refusing to play the role assigned to her. This can unsettle those who rely on her compliance, for it forces them to face their own shadows, their need for control, their fear of rejection, their unhealed wounds. Yet this disruption is a gift. By refusing to be consumed, she creates space for true connection, where both parties meet as whole beings, not as fragments of each other's fantasies. Her no is not a rejection but an invitation to something deeper, something real. This power, though, requires vigilance. Seneca would remind us that true freedom comes from discipline, from aligning every choice with your highest values. The unspoken no demands clarity, to know what serves your growth and what diminishes it. It demands courage to face the discomfort of others' reactions, to stand firm when they push back or withdraw. For the high priestess, this is not a burden but a sacred responsibility. Her no is a vow to her own becoming, a refusal to let her light be dimmed by the world's demands. It is a declaration that she is not here to fill voids but to embody her truth. So what shifts within you when you wield this silent power? When you choose to say no, not to others but to the parts of yourself that crave approval, that fear being alone, what new strength emerges? How does your world change when you claim the sovereignty of the high priestess? The high priestess, with her unspoken no, stands as a guardian of her own soul, her silence a thunder that reshapes the world around her. This refusal is not a mere act of defiance but a sacred alignment with her deepest truth, a rejection of anything that seeks to pull her from her center. In the Jungian realm, this act is a confrontation with the shadow, that hidden part of the psyche where fears of unworthiness and rejection fester. The high priestess does not flee from these shadows, she embraces them, weaving their lessons into her strength. Her no is a boundary, not of exclusion but of inclusion, inviting only what honors her essence into the sacred space of her life. It is a declaration of sovereignty, a refusal to let the world's expectations erode the temple of her being. Consider the woman who feels the pull of a life that no longer fits, perhaps a role she's outgrown, a relationship that stifles, or a societal script that demands her compliance. The voices around her urge her to stay, to adapt, to sacrifice her truth for the sake of harmony. But the high priestess within her rises, her intuition sharp and unyielding. She senses the subtle betrayal of saying yes when her soul cries no, the slow fracture of her spirit under the weight of obligation. Her refusal is not loud or confrontational, it is a quiet shift, a withdrawal of energy that speaks volumes. She does not owe explanations, for her truth is her own. This is the Stoic wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, to focus on what is within your control, your choices, your boundaries, your integrity, and let the rest fall away. You listener, have you ever felt this pull to conform? What did you lose when you ignored your inner oracle? This silent power is a radical act of self-love, rooted in the modern psychological understanding of boundaries as essential to self-worth. Yet, for many women, setting boundaries feels like a rebellion against a world that expects their acquiescence. The high priestess knows this struggle. She feels the guilt, the fear of being seen as selfish or unlovable. But she also knows that to say yes when her heart says no is to abandon herself. Her unspoken no is a reclamation, a refusal to let her worth be defined by others' needs. It is a vow to honor her own becoming, to choose authenticity over approval. This is not isolation but liberation, creating space for relationships and opportunities that resonate with her truth. The high priestess also navigates the delicate dance of energetic polarity. Jung's concept of projection reveals how others cast their ideals onto her, seeing her as the nurturer, the muse, the solution to their inner voids. Her no disrupts this illusion, refusing to be a mirror for their unhealed wounds. This can provoke discomfort, even anger, for it forces others to face their own shadows. Yet this disruption is a gift. By refusing to play the role assigned to her, she invites others into a space of authenticity, where connection is built on mutual truth rather than projection. Her no is not a rejection but a call to something deeper, a challenge to meet her as an equal, not as a fantasy. This power demands resilience. Seneca would remind us that true freedom lies in mastering our impulses, in choosing what aligns with our highest values. The unspoken no requires clarity to discern what nourishes your soul and what depletes it. It requires courage to face the pushback, the accusations of coldness or arrogance. For the high priestess, this is not a burden but a sacred act of creation. Her no is a brushstroke on the canvas of her life, painting a world where she is whole, not fragmented by the demands of others. It is a refusal to be consumed, a choice to embody her truth. And so, the journey of the high priestess culminates in a profound truth. The woman who knows her worth does not chase, she chooses. Her unspoken no is her power, her silence her strength. Share the moment you felt most empowered in the comments below, when you chose yourself over the world's demands. For in that choice, you become the high priestess, the silent oracle of your own soul.